You know that feeling, right? When YouTube just knows the perfect video to show you next? Or you ask a chatbot a question and bam, the answer is right there, instantly. It feels, well, it feels a lot like magic. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain. Let's find out how the trick is really done. So that's the big question we have to start with. Is AI actually magic? I mean, it's a totally fair question. Some of the things it can do are just genuinely mind-blowing. But here's the truth, plain and simple. Nope, there is absolutely zero magic involved. What's behind it all is a process that's actually, believe it or not, pretty logical and straightforward. Because it turns out that every single AI system, no matter how complex it seems, boils down to this simple three-step process. You've got data, an algorithm, and an output. That's the whole shebang. So come on, let's break each one of those down. All right, let's start with number one, the first, and you could argue the most critical piece of this whole puzzle, data. Think of this as the foundation that everything, and I mean everything, else is built on. So what is data, really? Well, in this case, it's just information from the past. It's basically a giant collection of examples that we feed the AI to help it learn. And this could be anything. We're talking photos, your text messages, sales numbers, even all those videos you watch online. And this right here is a really, really important point to get. An AI doesn't think, not like you and I do. It has no awareness, no real understanding. It just learns by spotting patterns across a massive, and I mean massive, number of examples. You know, probably the best way to get your head around this is to think about teaching a little kid what a dog is. You wouldn't start with a scientific definition, would you? Of course not. You'd start simple. You'd point to a picture and just say, see this? This is a dog. Then you'd show them another picture, maybe a completely different breed, like a tiny Chihuahua, and you'd say, this one? This is also a dog. And with every new example, that kid's brain starts to connect the dots, right? It starts to build a pattern. But it's just as important to show them what isn't a dog. You'd point to a cat and say, now this is not a dog. And that helps them fine-tune the rules they're building in their head. And guess what? This is exactly how we teach an AI. So this leads us to the crucial takeaway. An AI is only as good as the data we feed it. It's that classic saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you give it bad data, you're going to get a bad AI. If you give it biased data, you're going to get a biased AI. The system is just a mirror of the examples it learns from. Okay, so the AI has all this data, all these examples. But now what? What does it actually do with it? Well, that's where part two, the algorithm, comes into play. You can basically think of it as the AI's brain or its instruction manual. At its core, an algorithm is really just a set of rules. That's it. It's like a recipe that tells you how to bake a cake or the instructions for putting together some new furniture. It gives the AI a step-by-step guide on how to sift through all that information and find the hidden patterns. Let's jump back to our kid analogy. The algorithm is what's happening inside the child's brain. It's the process of creating those little mental rules based on all the pictures. The brain starts asking questions. Okay, does it have 4 legs? Does it have fur? What about a tail? These rules are what help it spot a dog the next time it sees one. And this is another key point we have to make. The algorithm doesn't understand what a dog is. It has no idea about loyalty or fetching a ball. It's just a mathematical machine that is incredibly, incredibly good at recognizing patterns, things like fur, 4 legs, and a tail, that it has learned are associated with the label dog. So this whole process of using data and algorithms, it really happens in 2 separate stages. The way to think about it is pretty simple. First, it learns, and then it does. We call these 2 phases training and prediction. So the training phase, that's basically school for the AI. This is where it gets fed thousands, sometimes millions of labeled examples. Think of them like flashcards, where it sees the picture and gets the right answer. This is its homework, its study period. Then you have the prediction phase. This is the big test. We give the trained AI brand new data, something it's never seen before, and we ask it, okay, based on everything you learned, what is this? And that final guess the AI makes, well, that brings us to the third and final step in our process, the output. This is the result. This is the part that we, as users, actually see and interact with. Now, when an AI gives you an answer, it's not sharing an opinion or a feeling. It has none. It's basically making a highly educated guess. What it's really saying is, based on the millions of examples I've analyzed and all the patterns I found, this is the single most probable answer. It's all about statistics and probability.
So let's put it all together using that YouTube example from the beginning. Step 1, the data. That's your watch history, my watch history, and the history of millions of other people. Step 2, the algorithm. It chews through all that data and finds patterns like, hey, people who watch video A almost always watch video B next. And step 3, the output. That's the final recommendation that pops up on your screen. See? No magic at all, just a process.
So let's just quickly recap the big 3 takeaways from all this. Number 1, AI learns from a massive library of examples, which we call data. Number 2, algorithms are the rules that AI uses to find patterns in all that data. And number 3, the final output isn't a statement of fact. It is always a prediction based on those patterns. So maybe this is the absolute best way to think about AI. It's not some all-knowing genius in a box. It's more like a really dedicated student. The kind of student who has literally read every book in the library and is now just doing its best to answer questions based on everything it's seen before. And that leaves us with one final and maybe the most important question to think about. If the AI is only the student, then who's writing its textbooks? Because at the end of the day, whoever controls the data is the one who ultimately shapes the AI.